All right. Hello, everyone. Let me turn on the chat for everyone.
Hello, thank you for dropping in today to our admissions webinar. We appreciate if you're taking the time to spend the morning, afternoon with us. We're just sort of giving everyone a couple moments to drop in because sometimes it can take a second to get logged in and everything up and going.
Yeah. So while we're giving it a second, we have the chat activated for today's webinar. We want to hear questions through the chat function. So, but while we're waiting on folks, just click on over to chat and switch it to everyone, and then see. Let us know where you're joining from. Okay. Well, I think we'll go ahead and get started just so we can stay on track. And I'm sure we'll have a few more folks joining in. Welcome, everyone. My name is Troy Jenkins. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management here at ACHS. I'm joined by Amanda Heller, our Director of Enrollment Services. We're excited to jump into this today. We like to do an FAQ session every so often, just because we know from working with students day in and day out that the same questions can come up and can kind of be on the minds of folks looking into our school. So we want to proactively reach out and provide some information. So um, that's what we're going to be doing today. If you've joined us before for this type of thing, you may hear some repeats, but we have some different dates that we'll go over just to keep everything on track for for the winter season. Let me go ahead and share the presentation here so we can all see that. Okay, how is that?
Good.
Okay, so um, again, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to look at the ACHS history, mission, and vision. So again, if you've joined any of our webinars, even if they're not admissions webinars, you may have seen our mission and vision before, but it's something that we find very important to just keep in front of of all of our meetings to kind of guide what we're talking about. We're going to have some time after that. We'd like to hear what your questions are today. If you don't have a specific question, that's perfectly fine. But if you have something that you want to make sure we cover, we'll ask you to throw it in the chat. And so we can make sure that we're going to cover that. If it's something that we have a slide on, we'll let you know that we'll get to that. If it's something that's a unique situation or maybe something that can be unique to a specific person, that might be something we follow up with you on, but that's a great time to get to know what's on your mind. Um, Once we've done that, we'll move into what those frequently asked questions are, just so you have an overview of the main topics that we cover. We'll look at how to apply and enroll if you haven't started that process yet. And then, like I said, some important dates that we have coming up to be aware of for our spring semester and our winter break. Um, just so you have those on your calendar, and to make sure you have the links to your admissions advisor. If you're not sure who you're working with, any of us can help you, but we'll have some link for that information as well. Okay. So real quick, let's take a look at who is ACHS. So whether you've known about ACHS for a long time or whether you've just found us, a lot of people are surprised to know that we've been around in some form or fashion for over 45 years. Um, our school started by Doreen Peterson, our founding president, um, in New Zealand. She had a passion for holistic health and wellness and helping other people learn what she learned herself and sharing that information. So that's the sort of the starting point of everything that we are today, was that desire to make holistic health and wellness education accessible to everyone. over time, we've grown from a very small organization to over 10,000 students and graduates in over 60 countries. So we are a worldwide institution. Being online and distance education focus helps us do that to allow people to take our courses without having to move here or anything that involve, visas, things like that. So the access remains high. In 2003, to help out with that, we pursued accreditation and were granted accreditation by the Distance Education Accrediting Commission, who we still are accredited by to this day. They do a great job of making sure that all of our programs, the information that's delivered is what you need to be successful in your chosen field. So the degree that you earn is going to be comprised of information that will legitimately help you in the field. So we value their guidance and feedback greatly, and have a great relationship with them. Um, One thing that's sort of in addition to the school part of it is our commitment to being a certified B Corp. And if you're not familiar with what that means, it's a separate designation that any company can pursue um, to to show that they are geared toward people and the planet, um, not necessarily just profits or financials. So to be a certified B Corp, you have to submit a lot of evidence of how your organization impacts the community, what you give back, your volunteer hours, things like that. So we are not only proud to be a certified B Corp, but it's something that we will continue to strive for every year um, since 2016. So and like I said before, when we first got started, there was a limited amount of information that you could do, a limited amount of courses that you could take. But now, 45 plus years later, we're equipped with certificates and diplomas, so non-degree programs, as well as associates, bachelor's, master's, and now doctorate programs. So the full spectrum of accredited education is represented. And then in addition to that as well, our continuing ed and micro credentials are a non-accredited track that people can take as well. If you have an interest, those are programs that you can purchase that don't require admissions, but we can help you with both of those things.
Mhm.
Anything to add there, Amanda?
No, we're on a roll, I think.
All right. So we'll take a quick look at the mission and vision. So as I've sort of touched on it a little bit, but our mission is to lead the advancement of evidence-based integrative health and wellness education through experiential online learning and sustainable practices. So one word in there that's very important to us is experiential learning. In an online environment, it can be a risk to just have uh, documents sent out that you have to read. But if we know that having the ability to put your hands on things and work with actual ingredients and actual constituents that are of high quality and sustainability is very important to this type of learning. So that's a commitment that we have in all of our programs to make them as experiential and interactive as possible. And then what we see the world looking like if we achieve our mission is that integrative health and wellness education is accessible to a global community, promoting sustainable and healthy futures for all. So, um, our commitment to to staying a distance education option for everyone, to allow people from all over the world to access this information and take it out into their community and impact the health and wellness of the people around them is our ultimate vision for what we're doing here. So we're proud to be a part of such a great institution and keep that as our vision for the world. So one thing you'll notice right away is that I am not Jessica White. And those of you who may be working with Jessica or have spoken with her in the past, you know that she's amazing, as all of our advisors are, a wealth of information. But she's not feeling great today and doesn't have much of a voice. So I will do my very best to fill in the big shoes of Jessica White. But Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself again and maybe fill in a little bit about your background?
So I've actually been in higher ed for around 20 years. My background is, I guess, a little bit more academic. I even taught public speaking for a while, but realized I just want to help students a different way, headed towards more admissions. So I have my bachelor's degree in communications, my MBA, and I've worked with ACHS for 12 years now. And really just love what I do. I get to work with students that, the vision that Troy just mentioned, we get to work with students that all have that really common thread, that desire to help people and to provide education and access to holistic health and opportunities, options to traditional healthcare, really. So it's really inspiring to work with people that are following their dreams and passion, not just going to go to school. And that's where I thrive. And now with Troy, run our admissions department, but I still work with students as well. So you might have recognized my name if anyone's chatted with me already.
You may have seen Amanda on your on an email or two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and similar to Amanda, I've been in higher ed in some form or fashion for about 20 years as well. I spent 10 years of my career with a adult non-traditional institution that focused on career education in allied health and technology. So I have a passion from an early day of helping people not only just get an education, but an education that will lead them to a career that they can be passionate about and can change their circumstances. From there, I worked with a third-party company. Everyone may have heard of Blackboard. You may have taken classes on that in the past, but we have had a student services division as well. And I worked with some great college, traditional universities and colleges all over the country, helping them develop. So as an aside to their traditional education, some adult-centered and non-traditional distance education options for students there as well. So you put those two things together, helping people find their passion in their career and helping especially working adults find a path to success is a passion of mine. So in ACHS, we I can really tell you that we put those things together in a very caring way. So excited to be here. So why don't we do this? Again, this is not required, but if anybody is on the call today that has a specific question they want to see get covered today, pop it in the webinar chat. If you take a moment and switch the who can see your messages to everyone, that way anybody can see what your question is and we can respond to everyone.
And please don't be shy. Every question is a good question. Ranging, and I know we're going to cover some of the most popular questions we have, but um, programs, degree requirements, admissions requirements, questions about transcripts, how we can support you. I mean, no questions off the table.
Yeah, and what we a lot of times we hear from participants afterwards that said, I didn't have questions, but after I heard everything, I now have a question, and that's perfectly fine too. We'll make sure you know who to reach out to um, so that we can cover that.
And if y'all don't have immediate questions right now, we can jump into the FAQs, but we want it to be an open forum. So if you have questions as we go through, please type them into the chat box and we will literally pause and answer those. We want
Yeah,
to make sure we get everything answered for y'all.
absolutely. So let's jump into that. And then like Amanda said, as you have questions that pop up, just pop them in the chat and we'll cover them along the way. So first slide, one of the main questions we get from everyone, how do I pick the right program? We have so many different programs and degree levels, it can sometimes be confusing to know which one should I start with. So Amanda, just
Yeah.
from your experience working with students here at ACHS, what would you say is the right path to pick the right program?
So from my perspective is I like to think of each student I work with as a puzzle, and all these puzzle pieces make up who you are, where you've came from, what you've done, and then of course, where do you want to go? What do you want to accomplish? So we really try hard to schedule one-on-one phone calls, honest, so we can discuss all of those things. Your academics, where you've been to school, what were your degrees in, what do you want to achieve personally and professionally? Because my student goals are all over the chart with how personal or professional they are. And we take a look at how much schooling you've accomplished. Do you have an associate's, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree? What kind of careers are you looking at? Are you wanting to be an entrepreneur? Where does your passion lie? What do you love? What do you hate? And we literally help you take all of that information to narrow down the best pathway for you. So we like to think of it as, what do you want to accomplish with all this information? And then we help you find the right program that's going to help you achieve that goal.
Mhm.
Because we do offer both undergraduate and graduate school options. We have certificates, we have degrees. We even have a doctorate program now for students that want to work on their terminal education. So we just really are here to support you one-on-one, because not every two students are the same. And we want to help you with your personal goals and get you headed on the right path. Because it's a big investment of your time and your money to go back to college and earn a degree that you want a return on your investment for, right? So your admissions advisor, we have a very student-centric approach. We want to support you, be the best resource possible, be your biggest advocate, and walk you through that process. And then, of course, once we land on the right program for you, help you through the application steps, help you get your schedule built, help you get your funding secured. So we literally help you through each step of that along the way. And then another part or tool we have available to help students as well is we have an amazing YouTube page.
Mhm.
Troy and I have worked with our sort of media department. So anytime we have a lecture, a talk, a webinar, career services talks, alumni come and talk about their businesses, program chairs talk about courses and programs, careers. Um, it's pretty vast. We post all of those on our YouTube page. So students often find that really helpful as well once they talk to their admissions advisor to navigate through some of those. Especially being an online college, it's really nice to see people's faces and get to know some of our staff that way, as well as that additional information to help you make your decisions about school.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the course videos. So we do have some webinars that are recorded in there, like which program is right for me that you can watch. But there's some shorter course related videos on there that just cover one single course. And we've even had students that come to us and say, I saw the video for whatever it is, HED 503,
Yeah.
and say like, I don't really know what program I want to do, but I know I want to take that course in whatever program I do. And that does help narrow things
Yeah,
down a little bit sometimes. So, and we've also had students say, I looked at the course videos and I'm now want to do all kinds of different things. I want some of this and some of that, and we actually have a path for that as well. So, take a look at that and let that sort of spark your curiosity.
for sure.
All right. So the next question we usually get right after that is, what's the best time for me to start? So,
Yes.
when do you have classes starting? What's going to be good for me? Can I do this now or later? What are so Amanda, what is your advice to students when they're trying to figure out um, how to get or when to get started?
Yeah, so honestly, it's really about what's going on in your life and your goals. Especially if you have a specific timeline in place for yourself when you want to be moving into the new career. Um, Most of my students want to finish some of their certificates as soon as possible. So it's really about when do classes start next, because I know a lot of students have questions and are confused because they may have been at a prior college that was on a quarter schedule. ACHS is on semesters, which makes it just nice and fresh. We have classes fall, spring, and summer. We do go to school year round. We don't shut down in the summer months. And so it provides you a continuous enrollment opportunity, depending on how many classes you're taking every semester, to finish the program you're in fairly quickly. Those 3 primary semesters are 15 weeks long. So for example, if you are planning to be a full-time student as an undergraduate and you're taking 4 classes every term, you would take those 4 classes together over the full 15 weeks. We also have the about 2 to 3 mini semesters as well. We don't have a continuous accelerated option, but we do have those mini sessions available for students that are handling their course load really well, and they want to add on an extra class, finish school a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Or maybe they had something come up and they couldn't start classes during the traditional semester, but they don't want to get behind, so they may jump into classes during that standalone term.
Yeah.
But my advice, honestly, from a very personal standpoint, is once you know what your goals are, you know what you want to work on and accomplish, get started.
Yeah.
The longer it takes you to get started, the less likely you are to get started. And that just is human, behavior.
Yeah.
So right now, really encouraging students that want to start classes in the new year, start 2025 with their new goals, is to get started in January. So right now, you still can get through the end of fall, celebrate your holidays, and then jump into the new year doing something that you're really passionate about. And you don't have to wait until April or June to get started. So that's
Right.
my
And our January start date is our spring, and sometimes that can be confusing because January doesn't sound
winter.
like spring, but
Yeah.
we can help you with all of that. Uh,
Yeah.
one thing too, um, what I love about our admissions team is we're going to listen to where you are and what you might have to accomplish, and everybody's path is a little bit different. And one thing Amanda can tell you and all of the advisors is we're going to try to point you in the best direction we can.
Mhm.
Most of the time when we have students that are interested, they are fired up about some particular program, something that really interests them, and they want to get going as soon as possible. And that is great. And that's why we have so many different start dates to choose from to try to accommodate that. But if there's a situation like you just found us and you just put in your application and the next start is a week away, it may not be feasible to try to get that done on that time. So we're going to advise you to maybe come to the accelerated term or the next available term after that. So, but the way we have it laid out, the longest you'll really have to wait is about 7.5 weeks at the most to get to a next start.
Mhm.
So that's the benefit of continuous enrollment. There's not a application season and one start like there would be at a traditional university. So um, pretty much anytime the goals are defined, we can put together a good plan.
Yeah. And we're not going to come from a place of rushing you, like Troy said, in 3 or 4 days to start, because I don't want anyone in school that doesn't have a proper schedule, has their funding secured. We don't want you to be stressed out once you're actually in class. We want you set up for success. So
Yeah,
we want
one thing that a lot of students aren't aware of, and we don't actually cover this that often, is you can actually take up to 9 credits with us without declaring a program. So sometimes what might be the best fit if we are in a time pinch position, or if you're just not sure that the program itself is what you want to do, some of our students will elect to take one course. Um, and that's a little bit different funding setup, but it allows things to move a little quicker. You can take
Mhm.
that course and then we can continue working with you while you're in that course to set up the next step, which may be a
Mhm.
certificate or an associate's, whatever that may be. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of different avenues, which is why it is so helpful and valuable to work with your advisor, who's going to have your back on all that. And so that kind of leads me to the next question. So we've talked about how do I pick a program and when do I get started? Usually what follows after that is sort of a realization that I'm taking some real steps now and I get nervous. So what is the support that's available to students to help? A lot of our students are coming back to school, they're working, they've been out of school sometimes 20, 30 years, and they're trying to start off again. What support do we have to help folks through that? So Amanda, why don't you kind of kick us off there?
This is my favorite part, to be honest, because a lot of people have, or at least the last 10, 15 years, have taken online classes, and it can feel very isolating. So our focus again is you, the student. How can we build and maintain community so you feel supported and you have that other family of students around you? And knowing we want you, again, set up for success to maintain your academics. So first is every student upon enrolling gets matched up with a student success coach. Everybody. We want you to know you have that point of contact in student services, whether it's a random question about where do I find something in the classroom. Maybe you need some 10 minutes because you had a really hard week or there was a family emergency. They can help you navigate all of your academics, communicating with your professor, and just overall support to help you feel like you have those cheerleaders behind you and guidance to keep moving forward. Second is we now have a full peer tutoring program that's developed over the last few years. We have the peer tutoring at both undergrad and the graduate level. So you can ask your student success coach to help you connect with a peer tutor. You can ask your professor if you need, they can help align you with the right person as well. But just because we're online, we still have all these services where you can meet up with people one-on-one and get true support with someone who's been there and done it, been a parent and a student at the same time, been through the studies, have completed the labs that you need to complete. So it's been a really, really rewarding and successful program. And then part of the peer tutoring is the writing center help, because sometimes we just need a little extra help editing a paper, citing a source right, getting help in the library to pull some academic research.
Mhm.
So that's entirely available as well. We also have Timely Care. I don't know if anyone's heard of Timely Care before, but Timely Care is like the on-campus equivalent to your health center. We have availability through Timely Care. Students can access wellness coaches, counseling, and therapists. They can access virtual appointments with like nurse and doctors, sort of like a urgent care options. And then they have all kinds of extra resources like yoga classes, 5-minute relaxation mantras and meditations. So it's really fantastic. Every student has access to it. If you need help navigating and setting up your Timely Care, because it is an app after you sign up, you put on your phone. Your student success coach will be able to help you with that too, but it's accessible to you the entire time you're a student. And we, especially for students that want to do wellness coaching as a career, we highly recommend students sign up for the free wellness and health coaching through Timely Care just to experience it from the other side and give you some experience as you move through your education, which I think is really cool. We have a Facebook coaching group, and that is extremely active. Only current students and alumni and staff are allowed in that group. And our students use it everything from trading books, asking for advice on their business websites, asking questions about classes, scheduling. Students are actually, it's just a really great support system for students for each other. So people are really, really active in the coaching group. We also have a full virtual library. Even undergrad students will access it, but students, once you graduate, you do have lifetime access to the academic research and libraries and databases within our library. So you don't have to go into any college campus. It's all virtual, and we have a librarian here on staff, as well as 24/7 librarian access virtually through the library. We also, our student success coaches, put on webinars throughout the term. Sometimes it's just get coffee and tea and sit around and connect and build that community. Other times they cover really important topics that other students are going through or need advice on. We just, again, providing the tools and community for your success through the program. And then, very exciting is our career services. So yes, we are online. You're not here at the building, but we do have a career services department with staff to support everyone. They're there to, whether you want to have a traditional job, you need a job to pay the bills, you need help with your resume, LinkedIn development, you can practice interviewing, they can help you with job searches. Maybe you just need a new part-time job while you're a student. They can help you with that. If your goal is to be an entrepreneur and build your own business, they will support you with setting milestones and goals with setting up your business as well. So they're fully accessible from your first day of school all the way through graduation and as an alumni. And they usually do their appointments by telephone or Zoom. So you can, build that relationship and actually get to know them as well. Is there anything I've left out?
I'm sure there's more things, but those are the things that I feel like are geared towards student success the most. But we hear all the time that there's little other supports that come in. One thing I know the admissions team hears all the time is just thanks for helping me through the process. That can be a daunting process to get everything put together. So we're all here to support, but these are some real tangible ways that we work with students to get them through to graduation
Yeah.
and beyond.
At the end of the day, we're a smaller school, even being around for 45 plus years. You are not just another student. You are a person with needs. And we want to see you not just be successful, but graduate and achieve your goals. And so that's why these things exist. And we put a lot of time and heart into that for you. So
Mhm.
never be shy asking for help.
So how do I get my transcripts? So part of the admissions process, we are going to need to gather official transcripts, more than likely um, from your prior institution. So we get a lot of questions about how does that work if you've never had to do that before. A lot of students have, and they've been to multiple schools before. But as you know, if you've been through that process, each school that you request your transcripts from can be a little different. So Amanda, how does admissions help with that process?
So first of all, we will often ask you some questions about the schools you've previously attended. So when we're diving into it, it's not just necessarily about all of your prior academics. It's just where have you been? Where have you taken some class hours? And we're collecting that information because we will usually go out of our way to go look up how to order the transcript on your behalf. So we provide you those direct links so you don't have to search all over and try to figure it out. Um, We'll put together those links and all the information you need, like about whether you send them electronically to us through Parchment or Clearinghouse, or we make sure you have our address if you're going to have like a high school transcript mailed in, and they only do it by mail. If there's any challenges in finding transcripts, because maybe, like I had a student this week, she attended a massage school that had closed down recently. I helped her navigate that by going directly to the state website and finding out what agency was holding the transcripts. So again, we can even help with schools that are closed and you're not sure where to go, because at the end of the day, we are trying to help every student not only meet admissions requirements, but our goal is to also help you maximize any potential transfer of credit.
Mhm.
Any way we can save you time and money with what you've already invested into your education over the last 5, 10, 15 plus years, let's take advantage of that. So we're going to assist you through the whole process. If you're uncertain about something, always ask your advisor. We're usually pretty good at figuring transcript stuff out. And if it's something beyond that, we've even gotten in touch with other schools' registrar's offices or had our registrar call, again, just to support you in any part of that transcript process.
And
I think
international
that's,
students as well. If
yeah.
you're not if your institution that you went to before was not in the United States, or
Mhm.
maybe your transcript is in another language, we can help point you in the right direction for that. There is a process for that, which can also be confusing. So we're happy to kind of point you in the best direction so you don't get um, lost in the shuffle.
Again, we're just here to make your lives as stress-free as possible, honestly.
So we
Oh,
touched on this a little bit. Do you accept transfer credit? Absolutely. That's when and wherever we can. If it applies to your program, we want to help you bring that in so that you don't have to uh, pay for something you've already taken before, or just take something that you're already good with.
yeah.
But that process is automatic. You don't have to pay for that. It doesn't require a separate transcript submission like some schools would have. One transcript is fine. We'll review all of them. Um,
Mhm.
it gets done right away. It's not something that has to be held until after you're registered, for example. But we also have students that, maybe they don't have a transfer credit that applies, but through whatever reason, they have a lot of personal experience or history in one particular field. You can pursue a challenge exam, a credit by exam. So, Amanda, why don't you tell us a little bit about like how that works?
Yeah, so like a great example is I had a couple students this month that have done some professional work and professional level study in aromatherapy and herbalism, for example, but it was not through a traditional college means. So because those hours were earned at an agency that is not traditionally accredited, we can't look at that transfer of credit like we do college transcripts. But we reviewed the learning outcomes of some of the introductory courses we offer, like Aroma 101, Herb 101. And based on that student working in the field and taking those other professional classes, they felt confident in signing up for some of the challenge exams. And that literally is like testing out.
Mhm.
Challenge exams, there's a $75 fee that covers the administrative and the test proctoring requirement. But the student has to take that challenge exam, receive a 70% or higher, and they do receive a pass. And that upon receiving the pass, they don't have to take the course, and it can save you time and money in your program. Students can challenge up to 25% of the credit hours in a program for the undergraduate and master's degree programs. Some classes have sort of the challenge exam itself may be like the final exam for the class. In other classes, it may be a paper or a portfolio, depending on the learning outcomes and objectives of the course. But we're here to support you with that. Another great example is someone with a lot of medical background. I had a student who'd worked in the medical field for years. She's testing out of her anatomy and physiology classes.
Mhm.
And sometimes our registrar, after reviewing your transfer credit, will even make suggestions based on your prior academics. If something did not quite roll over because maybe it was a 2 credit class, not 3 credits, the registrar will make notes for us so we can discuss challenge exams with you then as well. Because again, our goal is to save you time and money and help you graduate. So we're always, looking at those options for you. In general, just so you know the timeline, once you formally applied, you hear back on acceptance. The admissions advisor will usually have your transfer of credit review back within about 48 hours on average, because the admissions committee does notify the registrar of all the students who are accepted every week so they can review those, and we get them back in a very timely manner so we can review that with you one-on-one. So, yeah.
It's a great process. In our registrar's office, just amazing people. that,
Mhm.
also just really care about what we're doing here and put a lot of effort into individually reviewing so many credits in addition to everything else they do to help registration move
I
along.
want to say they don't do it with a computer. It is literally manual. They will even reach out to colleges for catalogs and course information if they need to, because they're trying to maximize your transfer credit as well.
So much work goes into that. What will my schedule be? So we have a lot of, students that are working, or maybe they have, family obligations. They have things in their personal life that they have to balance with school. So it's a very common question to try to figure out, like, when am I going to need to be in class? Will I have a Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time class, or how does that work? So, um, you know, how many hours do I need to put in each week? How many hours are in each credit? Things like that. So, Amanda, give us the lowdown on schedule.
Here, here's my spiel. One, classes are asynchronous, and we do not necessarily require you to be online at a set time or day. You are an adult. We're going to treat you like the adult you are and trust that you know what you need to accomplish. So for example, spring term starts on January 6th. That's a Monday. So for spring students, every Monday is the beginning of a new week or module. And with that in mind, you can access the classroom 24/7. So if you like to do homework late at night when it's quiet, no one's bugging you. I had a student used to do her homework between 4 and 6 every day. It's when it's quiet, she loved to do that. So you get to create a schedule that works for you Monday through Sunday. But there's a couple things you need to be three big things you need to be mindful of. One, you will need 8 to 10 hours a week for every class you enroll into. So when you're thinking about life, family, kids, your job, we're going to navigate helping you choose the right schedule based on your time available to even be a student and be studying. So I like to round up, but let's say up to 10 hours a week. If you're taking 2 classes every term, you need about 20 hours a week for school. And that's 20 hours Monday through Sunday. The second thing is everything is due Sunday at midnight. So we're going to give you that flexibility, but there is still going to be structure. So you're keeping up with your modules and, not getting behind throughout the term. The third thing is all of our students have opportunity to attend live virtual class sessions once a week. This has been extremely successful. Each professor announces in the first week of classes what day and time that this is going to be held. They're typically around an hour long. So it is holistic because the professor, it's going to differ depending on the professor, the class you're in, how many students are in the class. They typically try to find a time that's going to work for the majority of everybody, right? But that's a great time to have that in-person interaction like we are today here, where the teacher may have a lesson, a lecture, they may be doing labs with you. A lot of it has to do with the needs of the class that week, to be honest. And we highly encourage you to be there. But if you cannot make it every week, do not panic. Each professor records their classroom session and they post it in the classroom so you can watch it later. I also have some students that just rewatch them because they're so involved during the live session, they'll go back for some of the content. So it's always available to go back to those. The course sequencing and your scheduling, again, it comes down to time, transfer of credit. And there are classes that have prerequisites, but your admissions advisor will truly help you navigate this, and they help you build your academic plan for your first 2 to 3 semesters of your program. So everything's lined up and you don't have to worry about it. And if you do start a little slower, or maybe you start with a heavier course load and you need to change it, your student success advisor can help you modify your schedule in the future. So there is still open flexibility there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Every semester, you're going to receive an email from this student services department. Um, this
Mhm,
basically just says here is what we have ready to register you for next semester. If you're good with that and nothing else needs to change, like a change of address or something like that, then that's what they will register you for. But
mhm,
if you have concerns, like Amanda said, you're taking 4 courses a semester and that's what they have you set up for, but you think maybe this semester needs to be 2 or 3,
mhm,
then you have that opportunity to reach out before the registration deadline and make those changes. And then
mhm.
that then trickles down to every other semester after that to be able
Yeah.
to get that plan together. So,
I'd say the only other thing to point out is undergrad and grad are a little different. In case any students here, we have both levels watching today. Just to throw out there, full time, because we're on a semester schedule, full time for undergraduates is 4 classes. Graduate school, full time is 3 classes, 9 credits. And then at the doctorate level, full time is 8 credits.
2 classes.
Again, oh, what was that?
Doctorate is full time is 8 credits, which is 2 courses because they're 4 credit instead of 3. That
Yeah,
that's a little confusing, a little in the weeds, but again, we
yeah.
can help sort through that
Yeah.
with.
So again, it comes down to what does your schedule look like? What's going to create the best balance? And then we can project your schedule and even your graduation deadline or date from that.
Mhm. Next, we are an online institution. So there's a kind of a baseline for technology that needs to be there for you to be successful. And, we really want to find out in the beginning kind of where you sit with your technology, not to throw obstacles in your way, but we also don't want to set you up to not be able to complete what you need to complete. So we do have our technology requirements on our website. They're also listed. There's a link to it in our application, a lot of different ways to find out what that is. But we thought we'd just touch on it here a little bit since we do get a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
Amanda, can I take my whole course on a phone? Can I do it on my iPhone from my tablet?
So one, no, unfortunately, you will not be able to do your classes by tablet or phone only. The tablet and phones are extremely helpful for quick logins, answering maybe a quick discussion board post, checking dates, reading an ebook, but you do need a full laptop or desktop before orientation begins to be a successful student. And specifically, the laptop, we recommend it being probably within 5 to 6 years old, typically, to make sure it has speakers and a web camera, because the speakers are specifically important for videos, lectures, and then the webcam is important for also like attending those classroom sessions with your classmates, for test proctoring requirements. So it's really vital with the research, your case studies, the papers you're writing, you need a laptop or desktop. Students cannot maintain their coursework on a telephone. You do need reliable internet. I'd say that's the really cool thing is nowadays, even grocery stores have free Wi-Fi. I realized the other day my Safeway and Fred Meyer, full customer Wi-Fi. So I always tell students, of course, we want to make sure you have a strong, reliable internet at home, but always have a backup. Maybe a family member that lives in town, a friend, your favorite coffee shop. So if anything happens, because like service in your neighborhood, maybe there's a weather situation, your internet is down for 48 hours. Just always, I say it's always good to have a strong backup option B and C so you don't get behind in your classes. Um, and then in terms of like the accessible tools for students. Students have full access to Google Suite with their school email. Most of my students have told me they don't even purchase Microsoft Word and Excel on their own anymore because of Google Suite's accessibility. So once you get your student email, which is set up when you apply, but you'll get full access at orientation, you'll be able to then log into your Google Suite and use like the Google Documents and the Google Suite how do you refer to that, Troy? Like where you can save everything? It's like your like a hard drive,
The
right?
OneDrive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's super secure. So I always tell students use that to your advantage because you have lifetime access. So you can save all of your papers, ebooks right there. And then we also ensure all students have the top subscription to Grammarly. Some students have used Grammarly in professional positions or other colleges. You've most likely probably paid for it yourself. But ACHS does ensure every student has that premium subscription. And it's amazing. You can add an app to your computer so it checks everything like emails, your papers you're typing, but you can also upload your papers so it can review for grammar, citing sources, any type of like errors and help you perfect your writing skills, honestly. I
All the
personally
time.
use it daily.
Use it all the time, and if it catches things I didn't think about sometimes, so it's super valuable.
Especially when things change, because something simple like how you cite a source properly can change every year based on
Right.
logistics. So, yeah. And of course, if there's ever you're in classes and there's ever a really big emergency because things happen, computers break. Um, I mean, I had a friend whose laptop was stolen. You just always want to reach out to your student success coach immediately. Let them know you're having a unique situation, maybe loss of your computer, it crashed, or internet, so they can help support you in problem solving and getting back on track to finish out your term. Um, Again, we're all here to be your cheerleader. So just communicating your needs, what's happening in your life, so we can be there for you.
Yeah, we talk about reliable internet. That's super necessary for this type of access. Um, and we don't recommend that your primary internet plan is uh, uh, a public access point, but it can be very valuable to um, think through where you might go if one day your internet just isn't working correctly, or like Amanda said, your router gets broken, something like that. Where would be a place close by that you could get access? A coffee shop, a library, and like you said, there's so many places now that have customer access. It's not a permanent solution, but it's, think through where you might go. If it's Sunday afternoon and assignments are due pretty soon, and you're like me and you've kind of waited until the last minute to let the pressure drive you, um, where would you go? So it's good to be thinking through all that stuff.
But on a positive note, because we're technology driven, you can take your school anywhere you go. I have
Yeah.
a student who retired a little early. Her husband still works, and he literally works on a ship in the middle of the ocean. She does all her school from the boat. I have
Saw that.
students who take their studies with them when they have a short vacations. Um, I have some students that just travel. I have one student, like a couple students that travel and live in an RV. So they do contact us every term for stuff that have to be shipped out so it goes to the right place. But they have their internet that goes with them, and their school goes with them. And I think that's the most exciting part. You're not being forced to drive to a primary campus and be somewhere that is just not realistic for you to be 5 days a week.
Yeah. So we're getting close to time, so we're going to kind of jump into the application process. We'll move through this relatively quickly, knowing that if you have questions about how this works, the best thing to do is just get in touch with one of our advisors and we can walk you through that. But one thing to just touch on, there's no fee to apply. So I'm looking at the names on the in the chat today, and or the participants today. I think I recognize maybe some names that have applied, maybe some that haven't. So depending on where you are, if you haven't applied and you have something that you're interested in, my advice is just to go ahead and apply. There's no fee to it. You're not obligated by application, but it does start the process, and it gives us a lot of information, like Amanda said, that tells us about your goals and your situation and what kind of time you might have, what schools you've been to. It's just everything we've been talking about today, kind of all in one place. So that's the best way to do it. We have a link here to get to that, but you can also go to our website. Pretty much every page has a little button at the top right that says apply now. It'll take you to that same form. Um, what I would recommend, and I know Amanda would recommend this as well, um, carve out some time to do that application. It doesn't take a ton of time, but we don't want you to be breezing through it. There are some questions in there that ask you to sort of explain or expand on a particular topic. Those answers that you provide, the detail that you provide gets reviewed by the admissions committee as a part of the decision process. So as much detail as you can put into that, the better. So if you have a question that's, asking you about how you became interested in holistic health and wellness, and you just say, I think it's neat, that's a one answer, but it doesn't give us a lot of insight into what you're hoping to accomplish and what your trajectory is. So yeah, carve out some time so you can be thoughtful and put you know, some good answers down without having to walk away and come back to it.
And that also helps us review your application truly holistically.
Yeah.
Because I do have students that come in unique situations, like maybe they tried college when they were 19 and they did very poorly, or maybe I've had students have like family emergencies, have to leave school. They show Fs on their transcripts for that term. By filling out your application thoroughly with just like true information about your goals and desires and your story helps us understand where you're at and your ability to be a successful student moving forward. And so your short essays can trump your GPA from your prior schools. And so that's why it's so valuable to us as well, because we know your prior school experience in itself is not truly the best snapshot of your ability moving forward.
Yeah. So a lot more to it than just a GPA. You'll have some advising meetings. So whether you've done your application or not, when we first get either a request for information or an application from a new student, the first thing we're going to want to do is just meet you, have a first conversation, understand these things. If you've already done your application, like I said, it gives us a little bit more information to cover. If we haven't, then it might be a little more introductory, and then that would be your next step. But those meetings also not only just tell us who you are, because our advisors have worked with so many students over the years, it can give us insight into maybe some things to be aware of that you may not be thinking of, or like some advice that might fit with you based on your interests. Um, there's going to be some follow-up meetings as well. There's a lot of questions like, do I meet with somebody one time and I'm done? Not necessarily. So more than likely, you're going to have a first meeting, your academic planning meeting. You're probably going to meet with our financial planning team if you're using federal aid at all. You may have to meet with a military advisor if you're utilizing VA funds, and that would be somebody outside of our school, and we can actually help with that. So there's a lot of back and forth that happens. So that's why it's so important to have that relationship built.
And
Um,
we literally even meet with you when we finalize your enrollment. So we're helping you again start the process in the most smoothest way possible and have you totally ready to go into orientation, start classes. You pretty much you don't have to do this on your own. Got your back once again.
absolutely. Financial planning, I touched on this a little bit. There's a lot of different ways to fund your education. It's very important to us here at ACHS that we keep our students' financial health and wellness in mind, not just their physical health and wellness. Um, and, we understand that every single person is going to have different access and different ability in the financial realm. So we have multiple different ways that you can do that, either by semester payment, or you can pay your full semester all at one time. You can break that up into 4 installments, interest-free, if that makes it a little easier for you. If you want to stay away from any kind of federal aid, you might have scholarships that you've achieved from outside that you can apply to your education here. your company that you work for may have tuition reimbursement benefits. If you if you think you might have those, but you're not sure how they work, I would recommend talking to your HR department and just getting more information on how that might work. But that's a big thing that not a lot of students take advantage of. Even if they have access to it, they don't think to do that. Tribal funding, military funding, and then lastly, the FAFSA or the Title IV funding that people are, pretty familiar with. That's an option as well. And a question that I get from students throughout my career that I think is just not clear out there is you don't have to pick one of those things. And some people think you pick one of these and I have to stick with it. No, you could have some Title IV funding to cover some things and then do the rest of it on a payment plan, or Title IV military and a tuition reimbursement. We can make any kind of combination work. So
I think a lot of people would be surprised that a lot of students use a combination of funding methods. It's not always just one way. And again, your advisor will help you navigate those, help you put funding in place, get paperwork to the military, to your employer to take advantage of the benefits you have. We want to make your education affordable and manageable while you're achieving your academic goals.
absolutely. I'm going to skip over registering for classes because we're up against time, but that's something that our team can help you with as well. That, once you've been admitted and got everything squared away, then we help actually get the actual registration done from there. Some dates to be mindful of. Again, we've talked about spring semester. Spring and January don't always match up, but our spring semester does begin January 6th. The registration deadline is December 6th, so a month before that. We get a lot of questions. If I can't register by December 6th, do I have to wait till the next one? Not necessarily. So that's a date that we recommend getting registered by, just so you have the maximum amount of time for any adjustments that might need to be made, preparations for class. If you do need to get a computer squared away, you have time. Shipping, so all of your books and materials have to get to you. So that's just a date that we that will give you the maximum amount of time. If it's after that date, we can still help you for that start. Um, but there may be a late registration fee involved. And there also, like I said before, if it's 3 days before the start and then there's a lot that needs to get done, it may be recommended that we wait until the spring too. But we're also going to be closed from December 23rd to the 27th, and then on the 31st and 1st as well for our winter break. So we normally, like I said, we're here all the time, ready to help you, but that is some time that our leadership gives us for our own health and wellness. So we encourage anyone, if you're curious about this, to go ahead and get in touch with us now so we can be putting this stuff in place and ideally be done with everything before Thanksgiving so you can just have this off your plate and just enjoy your holidays.
I
So,
mean, honestly, this is the busiest time of the year, no matter how people celebrate the holidays during the next couple of months. And so we just try to make it as stress-free as possible. So trying to help you get everything in and not be rushing, you
yeah,
know,
you
right.
don't want to try to be doing it all from January 2nd through the 6th.
But with
That
that said, as long as classes still have seats available, um,
is possible.
it's possible. So, we'll work with you. Oh,
Well,
here's
thank
our whole team.
Yeah, thank you all for staying with us a little bit over time, but this is our team. Everybody on the screen right there is geared towards your success. If you're not sure who your advisor is, you probably have received either a text message or an email or a phone call from your advisor. But if you're not sure, you can always reach out to admissions@achs.edu and just ask, and we can get you connected. But everyone here has been with us for, I think, no less than a year. But a lot of people on the team, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 years.
Oh, yeah, Amy's
So,
been here 20 years, so
yeah, so
have
a
a
lot of
very
experience on this team, and a lot of commitment. So we appreciate it. There's some links there. If you, I really recommend checking out our YouTube page, achstv.net, I think it is. And there's so many so many things there to help you out. So we wish you a great afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. I hope it was informative. But if we've missed anything, please let us know and we're here for you.
Have a great day, you guys. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.